Yeah, and it's still not too late for people to come down, even though like you said, the weather's not the greatest. But there are going to be bands and stuff still playing, and also people roaming the streets selling their wares. Lots of good food and stuff like that.
Okay, I'll be getting back to my booth now. If unless you have something more you want me to talk about, or unless I can think of some last thing to say.
Yeah, you're witty. Think of a couple last things to say.
Hopefully we're going to be on the ballot next year. We hope to run candidates for governor and perhaps for other offices, and we're looking forward to permanent ballot access in Ohio finally.
And what does it take for you to get ballot access? I know it's a painstaking, hard maneuver. Ohio has no ballot access law now. The last case that we won ended the ballot access law, so we're now trying to get the ballot access laws changed so they're relatively more decent. It used to be you needed 5% to get on the ballot for president. You needed huge numbers to get on the ballot as a party. It's totally slanted against alternate parties. It was a rigged, rotten system. Once we sued Blackwell, who ruled us off the ballot twice for frivolous reasons, we got the ballot laws. The ballot laws were removed. There are no ballot access laws right now. Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
That's why the Secretary of State was able to put us on the ballot last year. Relatively easily.
But at first it was just a lot of people getting signatures signed, and a lot of painstaking work, like I said.
And all of that work takes away money and energy and time that we could have used to get our message across to the people and wake more Americans up. And that's especially important now because with the second Great Depression either here or coming soon, and on the verge of World War III, especially if Israel tries to attack Iran or provokes our government into doing it, and with the police state, almost every day you hear reports of some sort of atrocity. They take little 8-year-old kids away to the police for having fist fights in the playground. It's absurd. In Solon, they were having breathalyzer tests for kids to go to the prom. I wouldn't go, and I don't drink. I just wouldn't go. People have to start standing up and telling them where to go. I don't wish to be more explicit on a radio station that children and family members are listening to, but it's time to stand up and tell them where to go.
Well, these little kids were bringing their little guns that came with their army men, and they were getting suspended for bringing a firearm to school.
A plastic 1-inch.
Yeah.
Absolutely absurd. Every zero tolerance policy I've ever seen, the zero seems to stand for the IQ of the people who are administering it. I can't think of any. Can you think of any exception? I can't.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're not schools anymore. They're prisons. It's becoming obvious. Oh, yes. The prison situation. We have more people in prison than Red China.
Wow.
There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that picture. There's something definitely wrong. Everyone who did not commit a real crime, everyone who's in for drugs or just mere ownership of guns should be freed tomorrow morning. When Harry Brown, our candidate for president in 1996 and in 2000 was running, he said that, the first thing he would do is free every prisoner who was there for an offense that's not really an offense. In a free society, the law should only punish people who harm the lives, liberty, and property of other people. Of course, the government does that more than the private criminals. It's not a question of opposing the private criminals as much as it is a question of not wanting competition.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always think, there's so many people out there that are in jail for, things that are ridiculous.
Well, in a free society, if you're over 18 years old, what you do with your body is your business.
or your husband's if you're married. And it's not the business of the government. What you want to ingest into your body is your business. And of course you have a natural God-given right to defend yourself. And I used to think that everyone should be as well armed as the government. I no longer think that. I think people should be better armed than the government. And the state sovereignty movement is a really good thing if it gets going. The new Montana law about weapons ownership is very, very important, very significant. They have stated that if the weapon is manufactured in Montana and sold in Montana and used in Montana, it does not fall under the Constitution or under any federal gun laws. Now that's going to come to a head. Montana's going to come up against the FedGov, and it will be very interesting to see how that turns out. Another good sign is a group called the Oath Keepers. Are you familiar with them?
No, not at all.
The Oath Keepers are a group of current and former military officers and law enforcement personnel who've stated that they will not follow certain orders. They will not follow orders to confiscate weapons of the American people. They will not follow orders to send us to the FEMA camps, the concentration camps that are being built or have been built already. They will not besiege American cities. They will not confiscate your food or other supplies that you need to live. They will not go into any state without the invitation of the governor and the legislature. And if there are any foreign troops in the United States, they will not allow them to stay in. They will regard them as enemies, and they'll regard anyone who helps them as traitors. So basically what they're saying is they will not declare war on the American people. And the most shocking thing about this development is that some people find that strange. They're just following, they're following their oath according to the Constitution. So Google, anyone who's listening, if you're near a computer, Google Oath Keepers. Very interesting.
Yeah, I want to check that out, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. What?
The North American Union.
Oh, okay.
Yes, great idea. Merge us with the narco civil war in Mexico and with Canadians they're nice people. I enjoy going there on vacation. That's going to be harder after June 1st, by the way. But basically, you're going to need a passport to come back into the United States. But basically, the Canadians are people who'd rather have a king than be free, and it shows in some of their laws. They're even farther down the road than we are. And as for merging us with Mexico, that would totally destroy the United States. The North American Union is treason. There's no other word for it. There's no other way to describe it. It's the definition of treason in the Constitution, making war against the United States or adhering to their enemies. What else can you call it beside treason?
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't wake up the American people, nothing will. Another good development, and this is even being used by some of the same traitors who support the North American Union, like the governor of Texas, Rick Perry, is the right of secession. It is being discussed again. Ron Paul stated that it should be discussed. He's not for it. I have mixed feelings. That some of the places that want us to secede are some of the better places I'd want to keep. If we were going to have people secede, I'd start with New York City and Massachusetts, except the historic sites. I'd rather keep Texas and the Southland, but if they want to go, that's up to them. Oh, speaking of Texas and other large states, there's one other major fraud that I should have made notes after I came here. There's one other major fraud that's taking place. We're constantly bombarded with this propaganda about an energy crisis. There is no energy crisis. It's an energy non-crisis. And the best way to get information on that is to Google the energy non-crisis and see Lindsey Williams' hour and a quarter speech. Lindsey Williams was a pastor, and he went to Alaska, and he became the chaplain of the pipeline. And he personally witnessed
and has been telling about this for 30 years. The discovery of a supply of oil at a place called Gull Island, a 200-year supply of oil. I have Chaplain Williams' talk on the website mackoforcongress.com on page 7 under commentaries if you scroll near the bottom. This is, again, it's an example of how we're being lied to by the establishment media and by the government. Well, basically since 1913 when the enemy told us the income tax would never go over 5%, and Wilson told us he'd never lead the American people into war. And the lies have been going on to, well, what I've been here all day. What has Obama been saying this morning and this afternoon? So, and Congress, too. They're just as, except for Ron Paul, they're just as bad. They're just as bad.
Gotcha.
Is there anything else I forgot?
Well, okay, well, thank you for being with us,
Okay.
Dave Macko. We really enjoyed you being on here today.
Okay, again, that's lp.org, lpo.org, mackoforcongress.com. The Libertarian Party of Cuyahoga County meets 7 o'clock, Denny's Restaurant, West 150th, south of I-71, first Wednesday. Libertarian Forum meets Denny's Restaurant, 8111 Day Drive, Parma, second Wednesday. If you want to get messages from me, dmacko@roadrunner.com. And again, thank you for having me on. I've appreciated it.